Hi friends, I'm Raven, this is Eden, that's Jasper, and welcome back to our channel. Subscribe to become part of the Hive. Be sure to like and ring the notification bell. Thanks, honeybees. Enjoy the video. Hi friends, I know it's been a second. I know I'm still really inconsistent with these review videos and videos in general, and I'm sorry. I still have the same issue as I was having before. I'm not going to take the time to explain it again, but at this point we're halfway through the year and there's a lot of movies that I want to talk about. I don't really want to do a whole mid-year catch-up. I've watched like 30 new releases so far this year. It's almost June. We're almost to the end of May at the time that I'm filming this. Probably we might even be in June by the time I get this posted. So, and the last two movie review videos, the last two like movie related videos that I did, I talked about so many movies and it took me so long to edit, and that's part of why it's taken me so long to get another movie review video out, is because the last ones I made just took so long to do that I wanted to take a break, and the breaks just got longer and longer and longer. So for this video, instead of just catching up on all the movies that I've watched so far in the first half of this year, I'm just gonna kind of focus on the movies that I liked. We'll hold some space for the movies that I didn't like towards the end of the video, and I'll go through them rather quickly instead of like full reviews for everything. But let's jump right into it and talk about the movies that I have liked so far in 2026. The best movies of 2026 so far. Starting off strong with a movie that came completely out of left field, at least for me, and that is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Now, if you're like me, you might be thinking, what the hell is that? What is that? I didn't know either. I had never heard of that show, that band. What is that? Before this movie came out. It's something that my fiance actually wanted to see. It's something that he had heard of. Nirvana the Band is a web series by Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll. About a band called Nirvana the Band. Not actually Nirvana, they just call themselves Nirvana the Band. And then the web series turned into a show called Nirvana the Show, and now it has been turned into a movie, Nirvana the Band, the show, the movie. And this movie is so funny. It's hilarious. Basically, the premise of the web series and the show and the movie is that this Nirvana, it's not a cover band, it's just kind of these two guys who are a band and they call themselves Nirvana the Band. These two guys, Matt and Jay, are trying to play at this one certain venue, and the whole premise of the web series and show and movie is their increasingly ridiculous plots of trying to play at this venue. And it's not even like the Hollywood Bowl or anything like that. Like, it's not Madison Square Garden. It's not a huge venue. It's literally just like a restaurant that also lets bands play. Like, they could easily probably get booked there if they tried, like, in a professional way. But instead, like, their plan is to like drop in from a plane and just start playing there, and just ridiculous little schemes like that. So that's like what the web series and the show is just kind of their very unsuccessful schemes, and then the movie starts off with that is just yet another scheme. A decade later, they're still trying these schemes, and in the movie they actually go back in time to the beginning of them trying out these schemes, and it's really interesting what happens. I'm not going to get too deep into it. If it's something that you've never heard of, I definitely highly recommend getting into it. You don't even have to have seen the web series or the show. I watched, I think, like the first episode of the web series and the first episode of the show before I went and watched the movie, and I feel like that's all the context that I needed. If you like it and you want to watch more, great. I feel like I didn't need more than that. You probably don't even need to watch any of the web series or the show to enjoy the movie. It was so funny. I loved the chemistry, the friendship between Matt and Jay, the way they pulled off going back in time and feeling like that they were in 2008 was incredible. There's so many shots and situations where I was like, how did they do that? There's literally a part where they're like bungee jumping, skydiving into like a sports arena where I had no idea how they pulled off that scene and pulled off those shots. So I highly recommend it. It's literally my favorite movie of the year so far, and if it sounds interesting, it is. If it doesn't sound interesting, I still promise you that it is, and I recommend checking it out. Next movie I want to talk about is The Drama, starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. The drama was great. I really didn't know what to expect going into it. I had no idea what it was about. I loved the marketing because the marketing made me interested, but it didn't give anything away. All I knew was that Zendaya and Robert Pattinson were getting married. That's it. And there's some sort of drama that was happening surrounding that. When the inciting incident happened, I was completely shocked, completely taken aback. I had no idea that that was the direction that the film was going in. And if you have not seen The Drama, I really, really do not want to spoil it for you. This is the kind of movie where you have to go in blind. It's something you can still enjoy, even if you don't go in blind. But I feel like you will enjoy it so much more if you do go in just not knowing what the drama, the titular drama of the film is. So if you have not seen it, skip this part of the video and skip to the next review. I'll have timestamps below. If you have seen it, I'm going to get into spoilers a little bit. I love Robert Pattinson. I'm not the hugest Zendaya fan. I'm not really going to get into why. This isn't about that. But I will say they both did an amazing job. I mean, Robert Pattinson, he always loses himself in his characters. That's something I really love about him. He's been in so many movies, but he's so different every time. I never know what I'm going to get from Robert Pattinson, but I know it's going to be good. With Zendaya, it's always kind of been a different story, but she really got absorbed in this character to the point where I forgot it was Zendaya. And sometimes that's hard to do with big name actors. It's something that Robert Pattinson, for me, he's always been able to pull it off where I forget that it's Robert Pattinson, or even if I'm not able to forget, I'm still able to enjoy it because his performances are always so like fun to watch at the very least. And this was Zendaya, like her character, I feel like her characters a lot of the time, it's a similar issue I have with actors like Margot Robbie or Jacob Elordi, where their whole character is like, oh my god, they're the hottest person and everybody loves them, and that's like their character. And I feel like Zendaya in a lot of movies, it's not her fault, but she gets like cast in those roles sometimes. At least in movies that I've seen. Like, I'm not like an expert in Zendaya films. I don't like seek out those movies, so, you know, don't come for me for that, but where she gets cast sometimes in those roles where it's like, oh my god, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing, everybody loves you, like in Challengers, right? I don't know, maybe it's my own self-esteem issues, but I don't really like actors that get stuck in those roles where it's just like the whole world thinks you're the hottest, most amazing person. But in this movie, she's very different than that. Like, yeah, of course, she's beautiful and great, and honestly, probably the best person morally in this movie despite what is happening, but she is an outcast, and the way everyone in the film treats her is very interesting, and the way she handles it is very interesting. The drama itself is just, it's a very dynamic situation. It's a very morally interesting situation. It's the kind of film that really makes you think. And A24 actually released the drama card game, and I like this movie so much I bought it immediately when I learned what it was. And this is something, I'll get back to the film in a second, but I wanted to show what it was. Right here it says, put your relationship to the test. It's something that's meant to be played with couples. I'm planning on playing it with my friends, though I have played it once with my fiance. The titular question that starts the drama is, what's the worst thing you've ever done? And that kind of devolves the film into chaos from there. That is in here, but it also has fun questions like Act 1 is low drama, and it has fun questions such as admit something you've stolen, which I'm not going to admit to on camera. And then Act 2 high drama has fun questions such as which friend of theirs do you find most attractive? So, you know, fun questions you can ask your partner in case you want to have a nice fun night at home. But anyway, it's not just Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Alana Haim is in this movie, and her character is just sort of despicable, but in the best way. And Mamadou Athie as well, who is Alana Haim's partner, he is also despicable in the best way as well. Those four characters characters, the two couples, are discussing the worst things they've ever done, which they feel is an important conversation to have before getting married. Alana Haim did something really, really terrible where she traps, as she puts it, a mentally disabled child in a closet, and her husband used a previous ex as a human shield against a dog. Robert Pattinson admits to cyberbullying somebody so bad that they moved away. He's not sure if it's because of the cyberbullying. He didn't follow up with it, but he was obviously very careless with his bullying. And Zendaya admits that she almost committed a school shooting. She didn't actually do anything, but they all very much fixate on this, particularly Alana Haim and Robert Pattinson. Alana Haim, who immediately gets very, very angry, mainly because she has a cousin who is in a wheelchair due to a school shooting incident, and almost blames Zendaya for that, as if Zendaya is the one that did. Obviously, I'm using the actors' names and not their characters' names. I don't remember their characters' names, but almost blames Zendaya for this, as if she was the one who did the school shooting. Zendaya didn't actually do anything, and that's kind of the point of the whole film. I'm not saying anything that nobody else who's talked about this movie hasn't said, but that's the point. These are all kind of terrible people who have done, not that they're terrible people now, but they've all done terrible things, and now they're laughing about it because they were young, it's fine, they grew up, their frontal lobes weren't developed, it's fine. And then Zendaya, who was also very young, also her frontal lobe hasn't developed, thought about doing something terrible, didn't actually do it. In fact, 360 Reformed was then an advocate against gun violence, which she didn't have to do, but she did, and so then prevented these things from happening, and was an advocate for change, and put a lot of good into the world after this, after just thinking about it. And they all now see her in a completely different light and think of her as this horrible, violent, terrible person. Her own fiance can't stop picturing her as a young school shooter. He's scared of her. He is rethinking everything. He goes so far as to cheat on her, almost sleep with his assistant, but makes out with his assistant, almost goes further than that, and thinks these really horrible thoughts, has these really terrible visions about her because she almost did something when she was a child. Tries to make up all these excuses about her for why she could have maybe done it, when the reality is she didn't do anything wrong. And everybody is against her as if they didn't know her before this, as if he hasn't known her for years at this point, and they haven't spent all this time together, and he hasn't committed to marrying her, and now all of a sudden it's like she's a different person. And that's the whole point of the film, right? Literally right before this conversation, they're all saying, oh, you were young, it doesn't matter. Oh, you tortured some poor kid. Oh, you made some poor kid move away. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Ah, you were young. Oh, you thought about doing something horrible, but you didn't? You're a terrible person, and you're a terrible person, and you're still the same person, and now you're probably gonna shoot people at your wedding because you thought about shooting people when you were 15 one time but never did, and you're probably gonna shoot people now. So, and it's just so utterly ridiculous and spirals into such chaos, but it is so entertaining to watch. It's such a unique film, such a unique premise, such awful characters, but again, I mean that in the best way. I've only ever seen, like, good, awful characters portrayed in, like, a Joaquin Phoenix kind of way. I've talked about this before in my review of the best films of 2025, when I was talking about Eddington, how Joaquin Phoenix always plays characters that I hate, but he's such a good actor. He's so good at playing characters that I despise for various reasons. And in the drama, everybody's like that, except Zendaya. Everybody is just like a sniveling, pitiful, awful character in one way or another, but they're so good at playing it. Like, the performances in the drama are incredible. I love the way this film is shot. I love everything about this movie. This movie was incredible. There's a lot of laughs to be had, for sure. A lot of genuine laughter, a lot of uncomfortable laughter. The drama was great. So I highly recommend the drama, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Oh, I haven't really done ratings. The drama I give 4.5 stars out of 5, and Nirvana the band, the show, the movie, I also give 4.5 stars. Next, we're taking a little bit of a turn. I really liked the Hulu original movie, Pizza Movie. Pizza Movie is just a dumb little stoner comedy starring Gatton Mazzarato from Stranger Things and Sean Giambroni from The Goldbergs, which I haven't seen The Goldbergs. I have seen Stranger Things. I've seen the first couple of seasons. I never finished it. They have such excellent little friend chemistry. They're just nerdy little college boys. They're like college freshmen. If you haven't seen Pizza Movie, I highly recommend it. I've already seen it like 3 or 4 times. It's just a fun little like Friday night get high, kick back, eat some pizza movie. Like, it's Pizza Movie. You eat pizza, you get high, and you watch it. You know that part in 21 Jump Street where Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are looking for the drug dealer in the high school that they are undercover at. And they find the drugs, and they're looking for the dealer. And the dealer, I think Dave Franco, makes them take the drug to prove that they are not narcs. And they go through the different phases of the drug, and it shows, like, what the phase is. And one of the phases is like, fuck yeah, hell yeah, and it's them, like, being overly confident. And then there's a different phase, and it shows them going through that, and there's, like, a couple of phases, and that's, like, a fun little scene. Pizza Movie is like that, but it's the entire movie. Gatton and Sean are college roommates who are outcasts, nerds. Nobody likes them, and there's a reason for that. I'm not going to get too into details because I recommend you just watch it. It's a fun ride. It's a really fun ride. But basically, there are these 2 nerdy college kids who nobody really likes. They don't really have any other friends but each other. They stumble across some drugs that have 6 phases that are very strange, and the final phase is really horrible. And the only way to not reach the phases and feel the euphoria of the drug, which is what they're going for, is to eat pizza. It's the kind of drug where you need to take it with food in order to feel the good effects, but they didn't take it with food. The whole premise of the movie is they're on a mission to pick up a pizza they ordered from the lobby of their dorm while going through these phases, and they have to eat the pizza before they hit the 6th phase, but there's a lot of things in their way. RAs, they have to get the pizza from this like robot delivery service, very unliked nerds, so there's like jocks that hate them getting in their way, and they have to deal with the phases stopping them, so the phases hit them, they have to wait for the phase to end essentially before they can move on, and there's periods of lucidity in between each phase. So there's a lot going on. It's very, very funny. It's hilarious. My favorite phase, and this is a spoiler, the phases happen one by one, and I'll just tell you one of them, just to give you a little preview. There's a phase where if they curse, their heads explode, and then they reset to where they started. So they reset back to their dorm room. So they have to get all the way to their destination without saying a curse word. And it's so funny, their reaction every single time they slip up and say a curse word, and they experiment with what curse words they're allowed to say. Some of them are very mild, even made up curse words they're not allowed to say. There's curse words that they are allowed to say that surprise them that they're allowed to say. The head exploding is very violent. Each phase is just increasingly hilarious and random, and the performances are so great. Sean and Gatton are just so funny. They're a very, very funny pair, and they're not the only ones. Everybody, there's a lot of different performances in this movie. Everybody is just hilarious and giving it their all. It's just a fun little movie, and I really enjoyed it. And if that sounds fun to you, I highly recommend it. Just take an edible, sit on your couch, have a snack, enjoy Pizza Movie. Okay, so those were kind of my top 3 so far. I'm just going to briefly mention a few more that I liked before we get into just a little hater moment, and then we'll wrap up. So Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling, that one was good. I really liked that one. The world building. I know it was based off of a book. I didn't read the book, so I can't really speak on accuracy or anything like that. I don't think accuracy matters very much when it comes to making a book into a movie. I think the main thing that matters is if the movie is good. I mean, I think it matters to the people who read the book. For me, like, I read Coraline, so when I first saw the movie Coraline when I was a kid, I was like, hey, they added a character that wasn't there, and that mattered to me at the time. But now, as an adult, I look back on it and I'm like, no, that was like a really good change, actually, like adding YB and whatever. So as long as it's good, like Coraline's a great movie, it's okay that it was different from the book. So I don't know why I'm talking about that with Project Hail Mary. I have no idea if they changed anything, but Project Hail Mary was really good. I love Ryan Gosling. I thought he was great in this movie. He had a really good balance of comedy and drama in his performance. I thought he added a lot of emotional weight to this film. He's a really great emotional actor when he needs to be, and there was a lot of good moments of sensitivity in this movie. Rightfully so. It was really tough subject matter, like saving the world, but in a different way, not like in a superhero kind of way, in a somewhat more realistic kind of way, kind of like an environmental kind of way, but with a somewhat fantastical spin on it. And then his relationship with Rocky, the alien who is also trying to save his own planet. I loved that relationship dynamic. Rocky and Ryan together, very, very funny, and the science of it all, and just this whole idea, and the very hopeful thought that, for me anyway, something that I took from this movie, the very hopeful thought that if our world is ending due to environmental circumstances, there are people who are working very, very hard to save us. And there's a Ryan Gosling in space right now saving our ozone layer or whatever is threatening the earth. But this was a really, really enjoyable film. I liked it a lot, and that's really all I have to say about it. And that's partially why I don't really talk about movies that I like very much, because the main thing I have to say is I liked it. I liked it. The performances were good. The settings were good. The sound was good. I don't have anything else to say. It was good. And that's kind of all I have to say about Project Hail Mary. I liked it. It was good. And I feel similarly about the film Send Help. Send Help is a film by Sam Raimi starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. Rachel McAdams, her performance was great, but her dynamic with Dylan O'Brien was also really fun to watch. Rachel McAdams is kind of this under-the-surface psychopathic character that just gets more and more unhinged as the film goes on. It was a really interesting journey to watch. We're watching the characters and their relationship and their whole situation unravel as they are trapped on an island together after a plane crash. And it was very much at first, very much like Triangle of Sadness, where in that movie the classes very much switch. It's this luxury yacht that crashes, and all of the rich people now rely very, very heavily on the help, if you will, who they're the only ones with actual real skills. So lady who was once a cleaning lady, she's now the one that everybody has to rely on because she can cook, she can make shelter, she can get whatever she wants from all of these like beautiful rich models because they have no real life skills, and she doesn't want to leave this island and go back to cleaning their toilets while they make billions of dollars.
You get so much food. I caught the fish.
Yes?
I made the fire.
And?
I cooked. I did all the work. And everybody got something.
You work on a yacht. You are a toilet manager. You don't know how to handle this.
What yacht? Where's the yacht? In the yacht, toilet manager here. Captain, who am I?
You're the captain.
Yes. Who am I?
Captain.
Very good. Cutie pie?
Captain.
Who am I?
Captain.
Who am I?
Captain.
So Send Help was kind of similar to that. Rachel McAdams works for Dylan O'Brien, who is like the son of the CEO for the company that she works very, very hard for. She is overlooked for a promotion that she very well deserves because she works really hard for this company, but he sees no value in her because she's just an ugly older woman to him, even though she's Rachel McAdams and she's not ugly, but you know, they dress her up to be homely. And so when they have a plane crash and he has no real life skills because he's just a privileged rich boy, and she's hunting and building shelter. She's a big Survivor fan and knows and has all these like really, really useful skills. She is able to take care of him, and he relies so heavily on her, and she does not want to leave the island. She just wants to live there, and she kind of creates this fantasy life with him and forces it upon him, and gets, like I said, more and more unhinged, and then eventually it turns into she's trapped him there, and they could have gotten off the island a long time ago, but she made sure that didn't happen, and then it kind of just goes off the rails from there and becomes a different type of thriller. That journey was very fun, and Dylan O'Brien gives an excellent performance as well. I think he matches up with Rachel McAdams very well. Both of them are powerhouses in this film. There's a particular scene, I think you can kind of see it in the trailer, where like tears are falling from his face. That scene had me squeamish on the edge of my seat. Oh my god, that was incredible. And there's a lot of scenes like that where I was just on edge of like, is Rachel McAdams really gonna go there? Is she really this insane? Is she really gonna do this to him? And that happens a lot. So it's the kind of film that really messes with you. She's messing with Dylan O'Brien, and Sam Raimi is messing with us as the audience. That was a really fun little horror thriller from the beginning of this year, so definitely recommend Send Help. I know I'm still not giving ratings. Send Help I give 4 out of 5, and Pizza Movie I also give 4 out of 5. I just saw Is God Is. Is God Is just came out a few days ago as I'm filming this. Is God is really fun, really unique. It's about these twin sisters who went through this horrible trauma when they were kids that left them very badly burned. One is very much more badly burned than the other, and now they are going on this revenge plot to murder the person who is responsible for it. And with that one, I don't really want to get too much into spoilers. I guess I do give away in the trailer that they are going after their father. Their father is the one who is responsible for their burns. Their father set their mother on fire when they were children, and they tried to help, and so they got very badly burned. And their mother is God in this, and I really love the allegory of mother being God. Mother is the creator. She's the one that gave them life, so they view her and refer to her quite a bit throughout the movie. They literally refer to her as God throughout the entire movie, and they are the hand of God doing God's bidding in going to find their father and kill him, and the father as the devil, and he is portrayed as just this psychopathic, cold, unfeeling, unemotional character. And I really like when the devil is portrayed that way. It's far from the first time that the devil has ever been portrayed that way. You know that song that's like, you think the devil has horns? Well, so did I. His hair is combed, something, something, and he wears a suit and tie. He's nice, polite, whatever. It's like that, where the devil isn't just going to be in your face like, blah, you know. If the devil wants to get into your life, you know, he's going to be the serpent. He's going to charm you. If the devil is scary, he's going to scare you off. No, he's a cult leader. He's very charming. And then before you know it, you're in the cult and you can't get out. And then that's when he does fucked up things to you. And that's proven throughout this film when we see all the people that they run into in their journey to find their father, who they have not seen since being burned as children. People that he has left in his wake. The other woman that he left many years ago, who has this idealized version of him. His current wife, who he has abused, but they live in this beautiful house and have these privileged twin boys now, and how they move about the world. And then when we finally meet him, so the allegory of mother as God and father as the devil, I thought was very interesting. The way that the twin girls live and move about the world, the one who is more burned being more sensitive and logical, the one who is less burned, and her survivors, and this kind of survivor's guilt that she has in a way by being the prettier one, and how she defends her sister, and the more anger that she has, how she is less logical, less empathetic, and how she more takes after her father and those psychopathic tendencies, and just the sort of angry rampage that she is on. And it's just a very interesting take on this sort of revenge tale. I'm used to revenge stories being more like John Wick, where it's someone who is very, very trained, like someone who used to be an assassin, or someone who has all these very, very special skills, who can take them out at a moment's notice and can fight really, really well and has all these weapons. This isn't like that. These are otherwise very, very normal girls who have just kind of been living life on their own since this incident. They hadn't even seen their mother for many years up until this point, and didn't even really know what happened to them for the longest time. All they knew is that they were burned, and once they find out what happened, they're kind of just sent out on this plot and just try to find their father and think, okay, I guess we're gonna murder him. And they have different feelings about it, and they don't have any fancy weapons, they don't have any fancy skills, they mostly just have a rock inside of a sock, and that's what they kind of use. No martial arts training, no guns, which thank God. I'm so sick of all these movies where it's just like shooting, and stabbing and stabbing and shooting. Like, it's so boring. Like, give me something interesting to look at. Like, if you want to have fight scenes, if you want to have deaths and gore, I'm all for it. I'm sick of shooting and guns. There's nothing more boring to me than just bum 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 brrr. Like, what? Like, oh my God, be original. Like, even with John Wick, and I like those movies. I like them. I like when he's stabbing people with pencils and choking them out with ties. That's fine. But as soon as it's just like boom 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 boom, stab 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 stab, oh my God, stop. I was literally talking about that, about like the Avatar movies, and those movies are visually fantastic, and these blue creatures and all these trees and things that come to life, but then we have these like military ass guns. Brrr, so fucking boring. I hate it. I'm not going to rant about that anymore, but that's something that I really liked about Is God Is. There's a lot of like fighting and blood and revenge, and no guns. A little bit of gunplay, I guess, maybe. I don't really remember. I just remember like the rock and the sock and burning and other like unique ways that we get these fights and these deaths. There's a little bit of humor as well. It's very much a drama with like thriller and revenge, but there's some fun dark humor as well. It's a really good balance of a lot of different elements, and I really enjoyed that film. And I give Is God Is 4 stars as well. And I'm already talking way more than I was planning to. So just to go over it, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I liked that one. I like that one better than the regular 28 Years Later that came out. I liked the dynamic of Ralph Fiennes trying to rehabilitate the zombies, and then that opposed to Jimmy and the Blonde Boys, as I refer to them, but it's like Jimmy and the Jimmies, and the different ways that people have adjusted to the apocalypse, like these different apocalypse gangs. That was all really interesting. I don't really need to get too much more into that, but I liked 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Hokum with Adam Scott. I liked Hokum a lot. Mostly for the aesthetics. The story itself, I did like that there was a lot going on. He's this kind of asshole author who is being haunted by the ghosts of his past. That was cool. Also, he's on psychedelics, so we get this fun, like, unreliable narrator, which is cool because he's an author, so that's kind of fun, where he's on psychedelics, so we don't know what's real and what's fake, which is a fun excuse to have lots of things happen. I don't see it as a cop-out, but also there's, like, actual real supernatural things going on. It takes place in this old hotel. I love the aesthetic of, one, it's in Ireland, which I love. Ireland, this old hotel, and the sweetheart's room, the honeymoon suite that's like locked up because there's a witch in there. So there's all this fun supernatural lore that's happening in this movie. I love the aesthetics of it, the settings, the costumes, all of that. It was a really fun movie to look at. The sound design. Adam Scott's character was interesting. Like I said, he's an asshole, an author. There's a lot more to him that I won't give too much of it away. If you haven't seen Hokum, I definitely recommend checking that out. But there's a lot going on. That movie I felt like was very layered because it could have been about any one of those elements. And a part of me wishes that it was just broken down so that we could explore more of those. If it was just about this author in this Irish hotel. He goes to this hotel that his parents spent their honeymoon at. And his parents died a long time ago. If it was just about that and being haunted by the ghost of his past, and that was the whole movie, and then we cut out the part about the witch, that would have been a great film by itself. And a part of me wishes it was just that. Or if we cut that out and it was just about the witch, that would have been a great film too. So I do think each element individually was great, and maybe that's why I like the movie, is because I liked each element. Together, maybe it wasn't expanded upon enough individually, but I did like all the ideas. So I do think as a whole I did like Hokum because I liked each idea, and I liked the aesthetic, and I like Adam Scott. So Hokum, that one I give a 3.5 out of 5. Mainly for potential, and it was a nice film to look at. I didn't know that there were so many movies that I liked so far. I also saw Obsession. Obsession was good. I feel like Obsession is getting a lot of really good buzz right now, so I would be amiss if I didn't mention it myself. I liked it. It's very much like be careful what you wish for, but also a nice guy getting his karma type of situation. The interesting thing about Obsession is it's a really good movie to kind of break down the elements of. If you don't know, if you haven't seen it, or if you have even, our main character Baron, they call him Bear, which I think is cute. Our main character, Bear, is really in love with this girl, Nikki, who he's been friends with for a really long time, but every time he has the opportunity to admit his love for her, he pussies out. So he has this, like, little wish stick that he doesn't think is real, and so he absentmindedly uses it to wish that she loves him more than anybody else, which that's an important element, because he doesn't wish that she likes him back, or that they would start dating, or that he's able to have the confidence to ask her out. He wishes that Nikki loves him more than anybody else, which is a very selfish wish. And obviously he doesn't think the wish is actually gonna work, but the fact that that's a thought that he has is very interesting. I wish that Nikki loves me more than anybody else in the world. Not that Nikki likes me, or that I can go out with Nikki or whatever. Nikki loves me more than anyone else in the world. Boom. And then the events spiraling from there. And then the genie-ass way that he gets his wish, the fucked up genie-ass way that he gets his wish, is so interesting. And the portrayal of that, of like, she's no longer her. She is a shell of herself, and now is being overtaken by some sort of something that is completing the wish, but it's not her. It's a shell of herself that is in love with Bear, and every once in a while there's a period of lucidity where she comes through and is terrified of the situation that Bear has put her in. She screams and pushes him away when she has these periods of lucidity, so obviously this is not what she wants. So it's a horror, it's many layers of horror movie, right? It's a horror movie for her, kind of like Get Out. She is trapped in her own sunken place, where she is seeing herself do these things that she doesn't want to do, but she can't help it. And Bear is seeing this woman that he loves, who he thinks to some degree loves him because he wished for it, every once in a while scream and stare at him and do these crazy things and kill other people around him, and it's all around just a really crazy ride. There's a lot to love about this movie. It did make me very sad. This is the problem with me doing catch-up videos. I have so much to say about so much of these. I could do a whole video on Obsession, on Hokum, on the drama, on Pizza Movie, on Faces of Death, which I also wanted to mention, but Obsession was really good. I would give that one a 3.5 as well, mostly because it did make me sad, and I don't like movies that make me sad, but that's a personal thing. But Obsession was also good. And the last one I will mention for now is Faces of Death. I like Faces of Death more in retrospect. I liked it because it's meta, and I think that it was a unique idea. Like, yes, it's technically a reboot remake, but not really, because the original Faces of Death is a documentary showing real deaths. And this is a very meta take on that, of Barbie Ferreira. She is someone who monitors an app similar to TikTok or YouTube, where she looks at the content on this app and makes sure that it's appropriate. And so she's just kind of clicking through videos all day and marking them appropriate or not, and she's seeing these videos that are posted that mimic deaths that were shown in the original Faces of Death, where this guy, played by Dacre Montgomery, is actually killing people to the original Faces of Death narration movie where certain deaths are described and he is acting them out with real people and actually killing them, and Barbie Ferreira is investigating this on her own because everybody else thinks it's fake. And I really liked this movie up until a certain point when Barbie Ferreira makes a really dumb decision. And the only reason I didn't like it up until that point is because until then, she was making really, really good decisions. And I loved, one, the meta aspect of the film, because I love when a movie does meta correctly. Not every movie does. Like Scream is a good example of a movie doing meta correctly, at least some of the Scream movies. And this movie, I loved their take on meta. I loved it. I also loved that we had a character who was like a horror movie character who was smart, who was making smart decisions, who was doing good research, and it was juxtaposed to this also very smart villain who was making his own smart decisions and investigating the person who was investigating him. So they're both kind of trying to find each other at the same time. He's trying to find who's trying to find him. She's trying to find the guy who's killing all these people so that she can stop him. And eventually they meet. When they do meet, all of her intelligence goes out the window, which, sure, now she's in the home of a killer or whatever, and so she stops making intelligent choices. But when she is in his home, she is still making smart choices, and then when she gets away, all of a sudden she makes horrible choices, and it was so frustrating that I was like, at a certain point, it just became like a regular trapped by a killer movie, and it wasn't as unique anymore. It was just girl makes dumb decision and killer gets away for a moment. Not to get too into spoilers there, I mean, that's very vague. I'd still recommend it. I still thought it was fun, and it did come back for me in the very end, but it was inconsistent, I guess I should say. Her character was a little bit inconsistent in the decisions that she made, and I was frustrated with the dumb decisions that she made. I did really like Dacre Montgomery in this movie. I loved his psychopath character. I thought it was very fun, very unique. Oh, and I wanted to go back to Obsession for a second, because something that I didn't mention is something that I've talked about when it comes to horror movies is horror movies that under-explain and over-explain, or movies in general that over-explain things and under-explain things, right? And Obsession, I thought, did a really good job of keeping it level, because I don't need to know what's up with the One Wish Willow. There's a part where Bear calls like the customer service on the back of the One Wish Willow box to try to like figure out what's going on, and he doesn't do a very good job of it. He doesn't ask the right questions, but he talks to somebody on the phone about the wish situation to try to get it reversed, because it gets to be too much for him at a certain point. I don't need to know who the guy on the other end of the phone is. I don't need to know how this business works, and a worse movie would give us the whole lore of One Wish Willow, would take us to the offices of all these customer service workers, would have him call a bunch of times, would do all this stuff, and then it would ruin the mystique. Obsession had a really good idea of how to give us just enough so that we're interested, but keep the mystique. I get that this is a movie, right? And it's okay. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's also not confusing. The lore doesn't matter. All I need to know is this is a stick that grants you a wish, and it grants you a wish in a weird way. And I don't need to know why. Magic is real. That's fine. I can accept that because the movie is good. And a lot of movies don't understand that. A lot of movies think like, yeah, it's a movie, but like we have to make it realistic even though it's fantasy. You don't. You really don't. And I think Obsession kept that balance really, really well. You explain just enough. The fact that it had a customer service line was a really funny detail. And that's it. I don't need to know more. And it had rules, right? You get one wish. He tries to make more wishes. He can't because there are very clear rules. That's important too. So that was just going back to Obsession for a second. Those were all the good movies I wanted to talk about that I saw. There was plenty of other movies I saw that were good, that were fine. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die was good. How to Make a Killing was good. I actually really liked Mortal Kombat 2. Hoppers was good. Dead Man's Wire with my boy Bill Skarsgård. I wanted to like it more, also with Dacre Montgomery. Those are my favorites of the year so far that I really wanted to mention before we get into summer and holidays, where I'm sure there'll be so many more that I'll want to to talk about, that all these ones will have gotten lost. So I wanted to make sure that I talked about those before we got there and got caught up for you all. Let's take a moment. Let's hold space for the shitty movies that have come out so far this year. Just briefly mention so I don't have to do so much editing. I'm already doing so much, and I promised myself I wouldn't do that. I promised myself I would talk about 4 movies very quickly and then I would be done. First off, The Bride. Not it. I wanted to like The Bride. I did. I wanted to like it. It was bad. It was really bad. There was a lot of things that didn't make sense. And not even that it didn't make sense. It was just like, why did you make this choice, Maggie Gyllenhaal? Why? Jessie Buckley, God, she tried her best, but the direction she was given, the writing she was given was just god-awful. Christian Bale, good. Christian Bale always gives it his all. It gives it his best. Christian Bale as Frankenstein, which, he's not Frankenstein, he's Frankenstein's monster. No, they call him Frankenstein. They refer to him as Frankie. He says his name is Frankenstein, so I'm going to call him that. Christian Bale as Frankenstein was probably the best part of the film. Jessie Buckley as the Bride, she has a lot of names in it, but I'll just call her the Bride. The most insufferable character, the most annoying, insufferable fucking character. Oh my god. The inclusion of Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley is in this movie, also played by Jessie Buckley, included in Visions. And the Bride has, like, Mary Shelley Tourette's throughout the film. What was that? If we cut that out of the movie, that would have made it a lot better. If we cut Mary Shelley and all those visions and the Mary Shelley Tourette's out of the movie, the film would have been so much better. It's also very, very on the nose with girl power. And listen, I'm all for feminism. I'm all for girl power. This movie was way too on the nose with all that shit. There's, like, first of all, The Bride, and then also with Mary Shelley. And there's, like, literally moments of, like, me too, her, like, girl power, like, I speak for all the women. I can hear every woman that's been murdered. There's a lady cop who nobody listens to, and, like, she only speaks, all the men talk over her, so she speaks to the women, and she's the only one who gets shit done. There's a lady doctor that helps Frankenstein and brings the bride to life. Like, it's just so incredibly on the nose. Subtlety is a good thing sometimes. But the most annoying thing was the Mary Shelley Tourette's, and which happened before the bride became a bride. Like, she was human and then she dies, but before that she was, like, possessed by the ghost of Mary Shelley, and then even after she becomes the bride, she's herself, and then sometimes she, like, will randomly become Mary Shelley. Oh my god, and I don't even know what she's saying. She speaks so fast and switches accents, and I mean, good on Jessie Buckley for being able to do that, but oh my fucking god, was it annoying. That's all I have to say about The Bride. I didn't like Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I think there were things to like about Lee Cronin's The Mummy. There was absolutely no reason that it needed to be Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It should have been Lee Cronin's The Exorcist, because 90% of the movie is in a house. And why would a mummy movie be inside of a house in Albuquerque, New Mexico? The first, like, 10 minutes of the movie is in Egypt. And then the rest of the movie is inside of a house in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it's not about a mummy. It's about a demon-possessed girl who was mummified. A demon was put inside of her. She was mummified and put in the ground to maintain the demon. And the demon's whole thing is destroying families from the inside out. Like, it's the demon of destroying families. But also, if this demon has to be bound and mummified and buried in order to keep the land from being flooded, I don't know what one has to do with the other. It felt very shoved in order to make it a mummy movie. If they cut that part out, it's an Exorcist movie. It's about a demon-possessed girl. She's mummified and buried for, I don't know, like 10 years. They find her, and then the rest of the movie, she's, like, in bed, demon-possessed, and the demon-possessed girl is torturing her family because she's not a girl, she's possessed by a fucking demon. It's The Exorcist. It's The Exorcist. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, but it's The Mummy. But it's The Mummy, but it's not. And I can't stress this enough. It's the inside of a house. It's the Mummy movie, but it's the inside of a house. For 90% of the goddamn movie, it's the inside of the house. It did have a lot of cool scenes. There's a few of, like, fun little scenes of gore, like of ripping the toenail off. A lot of, like, fun, shocking scenes and falling out of windows and, like, eating dead grandma and whatever. There's some fun gore scenes. They're few and far between, though, where in between those is just interior house and walking through interior of house and whispering in the interior of the house and kids and the dad in the basement. The dad played by the boyfriend in Midsummer who got burned in the bear suit at the end. It's the same guy. Nobody has any personality. The dad is dad. The mom is mom. The kids are kids. The girl is possessed girl who might as well be possessed by the devil because she's literally like I'm gonna fucking kill you, grandma. Like, that's literally what she is. Why is she's not a mummy. She's not. She was mummified, unwrapped, and then now she's a demon possessed girl. She's not a fucking mummy. Okay. Calm down. If it was Lee Cronin's The Exorcist, I would have thought the movie was just fine. I would have thought it was pretty good, actually. Still a little bit boring because there was too much time in between the good parts. But I would have had a lot less to complain about. I think that's all I want to complain about. I did also see Mercy, AI movie. There was a lot that did not make sense about that movie. I really don't feel like getting into it, but I'd be amiss if I didn't tell you that I saw Mercy and I didn't like it. And I think that's all I want to talk about in my catch-up. This isn't, like I said, it's not an official catch-up. It might as well be because I talked about most of the movies that I've seen so far this year. Keep up with me on Letterboxd. Keep up with me on TikTok. I have been posting, like, little mini reviews of films I've been seeing throughout the year on TikTok. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year. It seems like there's a lot of really good stuff coming out. Let me know what you've seen so far this year, if there's anything that I missed, how you felt about the movies that I've talked about. Check out my Letterboxd. There's more movies that I've seen this year that I didn't talk about. If there's any opinions that you have on those, I would love to hear them. But that's going to be it for now. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching, honeybees. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye. Meow.